Hi, everybody. Good afternoon and buenas tardes. It's Carl Emberson checking in here on the 31st of August as we end another month in Punta Mita, hoping you're all well. And today I have a really, really special friend, a good friend from Argentina, from Mendoza, Argentina, fourth generation in the Catena winery. When they talk about wine, Argentinian wine, it normally begins with Catena. Catena, without doubt, is the pioneer of Argentinian wines. They really put Malbec and Argentinian wines on the map. I had the pleasure of working and living in Argentina in many years. I think I spent more than 12 years in Argentina. And Laura Catena is our special guest today. She's coming on, and I'm looking forward to talking to her. I haven't seen her for a while. Every time I go to visit her in San Francisco, she's in Chacra de Coria. So, hola Laura.
Hola, ¿cómo estás, Carl?
Bien, ¿y tú?
Muy bien.
Qué bueno. Thank you for checking in with me today. It's been a while. I hope you've been well. How are you?
I'm well as can be without traveling all over the world having fun. But there's some fun to be had in our own houses these days.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. And I hope Dan and the kids are all well. And I've been in Punta Mita all the COVID with Sabine and our girls. So on the family side of things, it's been wonderful, wonderful moments.
Yeah, actually golf is one of the first sports to come back. And in this context, it's a smart choice to have learned how to play golf, except that it's not one of those things you can decide after the pandemic. Okay, now I'm going to learn golf. How hard is it, Carl?
I know it's extremely hard. I've actually played quite a few rounds, as I know Dan has. And actually, the last time I was in San Francisco, I think I took some of his money, so that makes me happy. But anyway, Laura, I was just telling everybody about Catena wines, about my days in Argentina. And when I think of Argentinian wines, obviously I think of Catena. That's the first thing that comes to my head. And tell me what's new at Catena. What's new? So you got some new labels, a new Malbec. Tell me a little bit more.
Well, what's new is that the winery is closed. However, that's the winery, the outward winery, but we can still visit you and you can visit us through the wines. And fortunately, most places in the world are still allowing the sale of wine, thankfully. And, I see many restaurants are actually selling food and wine, when before they only sold food for takeout. So there's this great transformation going on. And at the winery, there's some new things, but in a way, viticulture farming is same old. You have the same problems, the frost, the hail. Nature doesn't stop. And actually, we did get lucky this year in 2020 because the harvest actually had been affected by a big frost. So we were very worried that our production would be lower. But sometimes lower production means better quality. And when COVID happened, we were lucky in that the harvest was much earlier, about 3 to 4 weeks. So most of the grapes were in. And when it became so difficult to work in the vineyard with social distancing, I mean, you can imagine people harvesting them really quickly. And now we had to distance them. They had to wear masks. They had to wash their hands all the time. Everything was slower. But fortunately, the harvest happened a little earlier than usual. And the quality is very, very good. And, I'm just, all I can say is I'm grateful.
That's the way, Laura. Tell me, and I'd like you to walk me through. I have in my hands here one of my favorite wines. It's the Catena Alta Malbec 2015, which I believe you have. I should have opened mine before, but let me just, thank God, wonderful.
There it is.
Thank God for technology here. We are connected, and you can find this wine at the beach clubs in Punta Mita, at the St. Regis Punta Mita, at the Four Seasons Punta Mita. And tell me, you were here. It's been a long time ago since you were. When were you here, Laura?
Well, I was there at least, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago. But I think of Punta Mita all the time. every time there's a cloudy day, I say, I wish I was in Punta Mita because, the hospitality there, the location, those swimming pools with, the one with the cataracts coming
Right.
down. The kids were
Beautiful.
having so much fun. The
It's
food was
true.
outstanding. I mean, you have such a great wine program and so many choices. And I hope that there's people going there. Actually, my question to you is how are things going at Punta Mita?
Well, believe it or not, the hotels are open, Laura. Both the St. Regis and the Four
Oh,
Seasons
good,
are
good,
open.
good,
They're
good.
running at 30% occupancy, which is the limit that they're allowed to run at the
Okay.
moment. And as it's probably happened in the United States and a lot of areas where there's low density and a gated community, we have a hospital here now. So
Wow.
the vacational homes has been amazing. The people are just, I wouldn't say flocking, but I'd almost say flocking
Wow.
to Mita because
Yeah.
of the security, because of the the low
Uh-huh.
density. It's not huge. There's about 400 homes, so a lot of
Okay.
space, a lot of fresh air. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place under the conditions. It was wonderful anyway. Now it's even better.
Oh, well,
Let me pour myself,
I'm glad to hear
Laura.
that. So about the wine, and then I'll tell you some of the novelties in wine as well. So Catena Malbec is a Malbec that comes from historic rows, as you can see on the label. And what that means is that it comes from rows in the vineyard that have always given us the most concentration, the most authentic character of that place. And it actually comes from 5 different altitudes, which is something that Carl, because you've been to Mendoza and you were the manager of the
Park
Park
Hyatt.
Hyatt, the Park Hyatt.
Right.
I almost said the St. Regis, but
So St. Regis Punta Mita Park Hyatt
yeah,
Mendoza.
there you go. The Park Hyatt is that we have these different altitudes, and so at the different altitudes, the coolness is different and the sunlight, and so you can have the same variety planted and you get a different flavor. So kind of like in Burgundy, where different places you get different flavors. Malbec is a grape that also reflects the taste of the region. But we have these different vineyards within very short distances because as you go higher, the climate changes a lot and the soils change a lot too. So I call this wine our Chanel #5 because
Wow.
it's this perfect blend. It always has to be perfect. And what's great about this altitude blending is that if you have one region that got a little too much rain or another region that got a frost, we can adapt the blend so that it's always beautiful and well balanced and with just the right amount of concentration and aromas.
Lovely. And talking about who the winemaker, is Alejandro still with you, Vigil? He's
Yes,
doing
yes,
well.
he's doing great, always causing trouble in a good way. I call him our Picasso
There
because
you go.
but he's really both a scientist and an artist, and I think that very few people are able to mix the science that is needed to understand the vines, the selection of
Oops.
so all the things that are involved in making a great wine. But a lot of winemaking is like making art, and that, oops, sorry, my my tripod is not very stable. One second, Carl.
Getting a little bit
So
wobbly. I think you might have had one too many 2015.
no, you're right. It's like too much wine. No. Okay, wait, I'm gonna just put it in front of me. That'd be easier. So
Sure.
you really need, the heart and the soul of an artist and a scientist. And actually, if you talk to a really great scientist, they'll tell you that a lot of what they do is art and intuition. But in wine, I think it's particularly important because any wine has about 800 different aromatic peaks. And why a wine tastes a certain way, people can tell you it's because of the limestone in the soils or whatever. But in the end, we don't know. All we know is that in different soils and climates, we get different flavors. But why exactly, we
Right.
don't know. And that's when you need the artist to come in because you need to know how to make these beautiful blends. It's almost like a perfume artist, So
That's
that's where,
why your
yeah.
reference to Chanel 5.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Right.
And and Alejandro is very talented at combining these two skills. And also, my father and I are very involved. We taste through all the wines because I always say that when you're a family winery, the only guarantee that you can give people is that you like the wine. Because if there's a wine that we don't like, we don't sell it. And that's the
Right.
luxury of being a family making wine for almost 120 years now.
1902. We're getting close to 120, eh? Wow.
Yeah. We'll have to do
Amazing,
many
amazing.
celebrations, one in Punta Mita.
Definitely, Laura. So run me a little bit through while before I run me through the nose and maybe a few other characteristics
Yes.
of the
Yes.
Catena Alta 2015.
Yeah. So, Malbec is a variety that has some characteristic aromas and some that change with the place. But the classic thing with Malbec is that it has both dark fruit, black fruits, and a little bit of red fruit. Now, the more you get to the very cooler climates, you get more florals and more red fruits. And the more you get to the lower altitudes, like somewhere like Lulunta, you would get a little more of the riper black fruits. There's always a little bit of chocolatiness that's natural to the variety. Even if there's no oak on a Malbec, you're going to get a little bit of vanilla and chocolate. It's just part of the genetic of Malbec. And in some places like Agrelo, you'll get a little bit of spiciness. There's a little bit of Agrelo in this wine, but not much spiciness. But the one characteristic about Malbec that's so typical, and you need to tell me if you agree, is that Malbec from Mendoza is always very smooth on the palate. So it's massive. You put it in your mouth, it's a big wine. It's as big as a Cabernet or a Syrah, but it's smooth. And that has to do with the characteristic of the variety. And, so it's a big wine, very rich with great smoothness. And I would say that's what characterizes great Malbec from Argentina.
And this is up there with the best of them, if not the best. And I'm a big fan. Like was my birthday, by the way, Laura, the other night, and we served, obviously, as you do, Catena wines. I'm a big fan. I love
Thank
Mendoza.
you.
I love your winery, and I went through it. We had a few bottles, I think, for my
Yes.
58th birthday.
Yes. Well, you had a
Wasn't the
big
Catena
impact.
Alta, it was the Catena. Pardon?
You had a big impact on our region when you were here. You made
Thank
sure
you.
that our guests, people from all over the world, were very happy at the Park Hyatt. And I'm kind of jealous of the Punta Mita people that they now have you.
Thank you. That's very nice, Laura. And I remember when you were down here at the Gourmand Golf, and I often have fond memories of that wonderful event that we created
Yes.
with your support, the Masters of Food and Wine in Mendoza. The very first edition, I think, was
Oh my God.
2005. That was an amazing event.
Yes.
That helped a little. One way, everybody has to throw in their little grain of salt to promote any destination. And I think that was a huge event that helped. And then over the years, in one form or the other, it's kept on going, hasn't it?
Yeah, so that event that you started has kept on going, and it's great because we get chefs from all over the world coming to Mendoza, and it's still ongoing, and I hope it starts again.
Yeah,
soon.
yeah. Well, here in Punta Mita, we've done this year. I think you came to the second Gourmand Golf event, and this year will be the 10th.
Wow,
So yeah,
that's
I've sort
amazing.
of put up shop here. I decided that there is no better place in the world apart from
Wow.
Mendoza.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. What about Sabine? What about
She
Sabine and the
agrees.
girls and the
We both-
dogs?
Yeah, we both agree. We all agree that two favorite places in the world will definitely is Mendoza and Punta Mita. So we'll be down there
All
again
right.
for sure. I can't wait to get down there again. In fact, I think I'm
hope
going to
so.
organize it. I was going down this year with a group of people from Punta Mita, and obviously I was going to
Oh.
reach out to you, and we were going to do a Mendoza. We're going to go and visit Catena Wines, and in person. It was doing a Gourmand Golf trip. So, but unfortunately we couldn't do it. But I'm sure I'll be bringing down a lot of my friends from Punta Mita down there soon.
I don't know about the golf in Mendoza. My husband thinks the golf is better in Buenos Aires and in Punta Mita.
He is he is right, but en casa tenemos nuestros amigos, escuchando ahí mis amigos de
Oh
Grupo de
no,
Mendoza.
oh no. Qué horror, qué horror. Yo soy una mala mendocina y vos, bueno, no, vos no sos mendocina, así que tenés mejor excusa que yo.
Sí, 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 sí. Decime, tell me a little bit about this award. Fantastic. You just got a most admired brand. I know you come out a lot. I remember Wine Spectator, but it must be nice to have come out by a drinks a magazine or communications that recognize Catena as the most admired brand this year in terms of. Tell me more about this award, Laura.
Yes, well, I mean, we were completely shocked because there is this award for the most admired wine brand. There's only one award in the world. There's not another magazine that gives it, and it's given by Drinks International, which is a very prestigious UK magazine. And, UK has for a long time been kind of the epicenter of the wine trade in the world. I mean, I think that's kind of now changing a bit to China, but London is still London, and so this is very important. And we had heard of this award, and we got a call that we were one of the nominated 50 wineries, and of course we were thrilled. And then in January we were called to tell us that we were actually the number one, ahead of some of the most famous wineries in the world like Torres and Penfolds and Antinori. And we really weren't expecting it. I think, there was probably a little bit of luck involved, or, they survey 48 wine experts around the world. I don't know any of them. It's completely confidential. It's done by Wine Intelligence, which is a research organization.
Right.
So perhaps we got a little lucky, or some of those people had particularly loved our wines. But I think it's really an award for Argentina. Because for an Argentine winery to be in that position is so important, given that, 25 years ago or 20 years ago, most of the world did not know about Argentine wine. That in such a short time, an Argentine winery is in that position is important for our region. And honestly, I would say the same thing that my father said when he got the Distinguished Service Award from Wine Spectator, that he'd like to thank his family and the people at Catena, but in the end, he should just thank his luck for being born in Mendoza, because this combination of the sunlight, of the dry climate, of the alluvial soil I was talking about, is just really, it's paradise for viticulture. We don't have diseases. We can farm organically, sustainably. We get optimal ripeness. Our alcohols are not too high. We're able to farm in these cooler climate areas that will not be a problem when there's climate change. The one issue is water. The water shortage is important. But really, it's kind of heaven for winemaking. And so this award, really more than an award to Catena, is an award to our region. And really, it makes me very happy.
No, so you should be very proud. And as I said, when we introduced you today, when I think of Argentinian wine, we think of Catena, and many people, and that's like being top of mind, is admiration. It's dedication.
Thank you.
It's a lot of different words that come into that. Tell me, we're going to do each other a little favor here. Pedro, can you just pass me? We just put a book out.
Oh, yes. Is it Oro en los Viñedos or Gold in the Vineyards?
No, it's called Punta Mita.
Punta Mita. I thought you were going to show my book, but it's your book. Wonderful. When did it come out?
End of last year.
Why have I not gotten a copy, Carl?
It's on the way today, as long as you send me one of your books, which you've just
Okay,
done.
That's a deal. Here you go.
Tell me a little bit about your book.
No, first I want to hear about yours.
Okay, this book, Punta Mita, done by Azuline.
Azuline! Oh my God! That is such a huge honor. Azuline is one of my favorite publishers.
Aren't they wonderful? I was up there in New York with
them.
Oh my
God.
Last year we're at the moment the 20th anniversary of Punta Mita, so we decided to do a book with Azuline that would showcase the beauty of our peninsula and what this great resort is like, the one that you think of every cloudy day that you get in San Francisco.
Yes.
And anyway, I'm going to send one of these up to you tomorrow with a
Thank you.
signature to you and the family, and make
Please.
sure it makes you come back sooner than later.
I hope so. I hope so. And okay, so a little bit about my book. This is Oro los Viñedos in Spanish. I also have it in Portuguese, and but it's sitting over there on my shelf. So, and here's in English, Gold in the Vineyards, and
Wow.
it's stories of the 12 most famous vineyards and wineries in the world. So, you know, there's the Lafite, there's the Romanée Conti, there's the Solaya Antinori. And there's Adriana from Catena, Henschke from Australia.
Lovely.
So I interviewed these families. I've known them for years, and it's illustrated. So there's a lot of drawings. My idea was to have a wine book that would talk in a simple language about the great stories behind wine. There's also a little bit of the winemaking explained in illustrations. And
Right.
I've been told by most of my friends that it's a fun read, which,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it's difficult to do with wine because some of the writing about wine is less fun than drinking wine, right?
Exactly. Exactly. It can get a bit, I remember from studying wine at hotel school, it can be a bit long, the whole process, which it is, but it's great to drink it. I have to agree with you there. Tell me, is it coming out in Chinese as well? You mentioned China is an
Yes,
important
yes.
market.
So I'm working now on a Chinese version.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Tell me, in how many countries of the world today are drinking Catena wines, Lara?
So I believe it's 65. So quite a
65.
few. Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Anyway, as I promised you now, this is our check-ins with Carl Emberson, take about 20 minutes. I know we could go on all day talking, you and I,
Yes.
and I look forward to catching up with you again soon. Thank you. I'm
Same
going to
here.
enjoy the rest of this wine with Sabine
Yes.
and the family tonight. God
Salud.
bless you. Take care.
Thank
and
you.
Viva Catena.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Y perdona a todos los amigos de Argentina que hablamos en inglés.
Perdón,
Pero
pero ya
bueno.
haremos uno en español.
Bueno, haremos uno en español, me parece muy bien. Muchas gracias, Carl.
Un beso
Chao a
enorme,
todos.
un beso enorme.
Un beso, hasta pronto. Chao,
Chao,
chao.
chao.